10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The bottom lines, top 10. Most successful athletes, 2010-2011.
To get on this list, I think you have to be competitive, you have to be a team player, you also have to have a really strong work ethic. You have to go in there day in and day out and get it done, kind of like a poor man's Kobe Bryant. Not really, but...
When he's hot, he is almost unstoppable.
A case for him being #1 on any list when it comes to athletes here at UCSB.
She epitomizes what college athletes should strive to be.
When you have a list like this, you just basically have to go with your gut and say, what did this team mean? What did this player mean for his team, his or her team this year? How will their success stand the test of time and be looked at in the future?
When you talk about a person that, you know, had great seasons, puts numbers on the board, I mean, he's a record breaker.
I think the difference between successful athletes and those who are not successful is those that can realize their potential, and the way that you realize your potential as an athlete is to believe in yourself.
Whenever you have a list like this, you're really just splitting hairs, given the fact that all of these players are outstanding athletes and you're comparing them across sports.
Yeah, I think you have to find players that can flat out play, and so you try to find whatever one you can get.
I don't know exactly how you guys make your selections. Maybe it's based on all the games that you guys have gone to over the course of a year, or maybe you asked the media relations department, or maybe you asked the coaches. But I just think it's kind of a great honor for those athletes that are put on there.
So how did we make our list?
So you don't necessarily need to be the best athlete per se, but you do need to have the stats, and you need to have other people to depend on you.
They clearly perform really well in their sport, put up big numbers, do things to help their team be successful. The people that you see on this campus that stand out, not just for their athletic achievements, but because of how they represent this athletic department.
And also someone who made a positive impact on their program.
The #10 most successful athlete, women's water polo, KATHRYN Nelson.
KATHRYN Nelson, as a senior, she's been one of the leaders of their team and really kept them together and helped towards the chemistry of water polo. I don't know, I would put her in the honorable mention category as someone who was an excellent part of the whole, but maybe didn't have the individual success that maybe we need in the top 10.
If we were still in the Mount Pacific Sports Federation for women's water polo, and we were playing Stanford and Cal and USC and UCLA, and she was achieving the same things, I would say not only should she be on the list, she might belong higher.
The first few games, I was like, oh, well, this is maybe sort of a fluke. She's scoring, that's great, because she's our best player on defense.
They were a good team, but I don't think they were a great team, and I think they played, frankly, in a pretty average conference. Right now, I think it's growing.
But for her to score that many goals within a season and be consistent with it, I think makes her a very good candidate.
You have to be a fast swimmer, have really strong legs, be able to propel yourself out of the water, and then have a good arm. So sort of like a baseball arm, be able to shoot the ball really hard, pass accurately, among other things.
How long do you have to tread water for, by the way? Obviously you're swimming, but how about the goalie, huh? Think about that. How long are you treading water there for?
People will say she only scored 1 goal in the Big West tournament for water polo, but she went into that game concussed, and that's one of those things. I mean, you don't expect players to do that, but that's somebody that you can rely on to the point that you know they're going to play through injuries, and that's an important person to have on your team also.
Yeah, I think a sport that was nationally ranked all year, I think you would have to have their best, arguably best player and certainly best scorer on this list, so I would say yes.
Let's take a look at who didn't make this list. Here are the honorable mentions.
Barbara Nwaba should not be overlooked for her accomplishments. I mean, she's someone that made waves last year. Just, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but really kind of burst on the scene.
I think you could probably make a case, I still think, for Barbara Nwaba being on the list. She's our first indoor track All-American ever.
And I think she deserves to be in any top 10 list until she's no longer enrolled at school here, you know, just by default almost.
I think Luis Silva is the guy who you could kind of make a case for, especially the way he ended the year.
The #9 most successful athlete, James "Nuntime" Nunnally. men's basketball.
When Nunn was good, we were really good. But then at the same time, when Nunn was bad, we weren't very good.
I think there was the early segment where he was fantastic. I mean, he had a 30-plus point game up at Santa Clara that was just, it was out of this world. I mean, he couldn't miss a shot. And then he had the huge game against UNLV. That's our first win against a nationally ranked team on the road in 23 years.
Nunn's one of those guys that can win the game for either team. You know, when he plays bad, he really hurts you. When he plays well, he makes you really good.
You know, there were times where he and OJ were competing, it seemed like. You know, one guy would have 30 points and OJ would come back with 30 points. And it always seemed kind of rare that they would be performing as well at the same time. But OJ ended up having the more consistent seasons. I mean,
after he had a drop-off in the middle of the season, he came on strong at the end of the year and made the all-tournament team in the Big West tournament. He belongs on this list for that reason alone. What he was able to do in the Big West tournament, in addition to some big wins early in the year, would put him on this list.
He was one of the reasons why they went so far this year and won the Big West.
You could be very athletic, but when it comes down to it, when you need to get a clutch hit, make a clutch play, that's mindset more than anything.
He had game winners, which is the thing that puts people on this list, but it's not that I doubt he's working hard, but I feel like he could be doing more. Consistently showing up every night is another big part of it, which he didn't necessarily do.
It was our Cal Poly game where there was a difference in change. He defended so much harder. He was way more unselfish. He was a leader in those last 4 games. I mean, he was on the bench talking, hey, next 4 minutes, we've got to outscore. Hey, don't let this guy get open. Hey, I mean, really communicating to his teammates, showing great leadership, way more competitive, just really focused and into the game. Those were qualities that made James be what he's capable of being, which is a great player.
But I think it's all about keeping your head in the game. You know, even like I always thought that Greg Samoji could be a draft pick and a lot of players on the team will say the same thing, if you just have the right mentality and the mental aggressiveness to actually compete. And not only would have that, but not all the time.
The number 8 most successful athlete, women's swimming, Andrea Ward.
She's been at UCSB for 1 season, and she's already broken 2 20-year-old records as well as a 3-year-old record, and that's only in her first year. So success-wise, I think she's done pretty well, and this obviously only opens it up for more success in the next 3 years.
You know, I think swimming kind of gets lost in the shuffle here sometimes, especially now that it's not a Big West sport anymore. I don't know that I would have her on this list in front of Barbara Nawaba. I would probably have Nawaba on this list. But it's hard, you know, she would certainly be at least an honorable mention because she set school records. I mean, and that's, you know, that doesn't happen every day. So I believe she probably should be on or around this list.
The number 7 most successful athlete, EMILIE MJ Johnson.
But, you know, I guess my competitive side is going, really? She's not above some of those people?
Yeah, I remember her statistically, she was great, and Gottlieb had nothing but great things to say about her. I think that's a good spot on the list for her.
Well, I love the way she plays basketball. She's one of my absolute favorite student athletes, and I think we at UCSB are really fortunate to have her.
She has an unbelievable GPA. Not only does she get her schoolwork done, she's engaged in her classes. She wants to talk about them. She's interested in the things that she's learning as a psychology major. But she also has the ability to get that stuff done, and knowing that she needs to go to bed early and get rest, knowing that she needs to get, or she wants to get 500 extra shots in, you know, in the mornings in the Thunderdome. I mean, her level of discipline is unreal. I think she just understands how important it is to function at your highest level in every aspect of your life as a collegiate athlete, and I know that there's no one who's doing more to make themselves better.
MJ is unbelievable. You talk about someone who does it all on the court. You know, the general leads the team and everything. She can shoot the 3. She'll take it inside, drive the lane, can D it up, all over the place. I'd say definitely top 10.
I think she, more than anyone on that list, the reason I would say probably should be up a little higher is I think she maximizes, from a physical standpoint, everything that her body's capable of doing.
And there's no statistic, I guess, you could make up for plays created, but if you could somehow, then she put up numbers in that one.
Not only statistically what she achieves, and she had some really big games this year, but also because she does so while playing an incredible amount of minutes.
Her ability to survey the floor and determine what the right decisions are for her team as they attack an offense or they set a defense. And it's really, for me as a basketball fan, it's really enjoyable to watch her appreciation of the game and the nuances of the game.
as a freshman, she was the starting point guard. She had to run a brand new offense when Lindsay Gottlieb came in. Brand new, no one had ever done it before. She had to run a triangle, which is one of the most complicated offenses to learn. This is as a freshman. Then, as she's grown and matured, she was given even more. She became the team's, point person, meaning the point guard. Also, she had to shoot the most. The way the offense was run, she had to shoot the most. She had to pass the most, too. So how are you going to score, but also keep your teammates involved? She found a way to do that, and she's done it well.
You could probably make a case for the fact that they shouldn't have won the regular season title. They had a very disappointing loss, obviously, to Pacific in the tournament, but they still shared the regular season championship. That's very significant because I don't think they were expected to do so, and she had a lot to do with that.
Well, I think she has a real feel for the game of basketball. I mean, she's their point guard, and typically the point guard has to really understand the game, and she does.
Playing the point guard position, she has everything you want. The ball handling skills, she's an excellent shooter. Really the engine that makes the women's basketball team go. Gets all the other players involved, and as far as the clutch goes, she's always there in the biggest moments, taking the big shots or making the play.
She is going to go down as one of the top 20 or so players in women's basketball history at this school. And to say that she's going to go down as top 20, yeah, she's legit.
That would be an appropriate place for her given the amount of success she had this season and the consistency that women's basketball showed.
The number 6 most successful athlete, women's volleyball, Dana Vargas.
Dana Vargas has a poster, a giant poster on the Thunderdome of her, doing a fist pump thing, and it's the coolest poster because she just looks like a winner. Like
she was great to watch. You see quarterbacks or point guards control a game. You could watch a volleyball match and watch Dana Vargas basically take over. Dana Vargas comes from a terrific bloodline of volleyball. Her mother was one of the best setters in Olympic history, and probably volleyball history. Debbie Green, she won the silver medal in '84 Olympics. And obviously that has to help her. Dana's sister was a starter for Long Beach State, which is always a top 25 college volleyball team.
She came from a family that was always competitive, always had to beat out her sisters and stuff. And on the volleyball court, even though she's a midget, we'll say, she just it didn't even matter because she would put up 60 sets every match.
Great. The fact that she's an All-American in a sport that is so widespread is huge.
And she's working for a coach, Kathy Gregory, who knows a little bit about volleyball. She's been around a long time, but also was a tremendous setter herself.
I know how hard Kathy Gregory can be on setters. And she and Kathy had a fantastic relationship. Dana never didn't wilt under that pressure. She came through in big matches. We upset Long Beach State, a huge comeback. She was a huge part of it. So yeah, she belongs on this list. And I might actually have her up because I think All-American, when you achieve All-American status, even honorable mention or second team, third team, whatever, in a sport where there are close to 300 schools competing in, that's an achievement. I mean, that's a big-time achievement.
She was a good server. She could jump at the net. I mean, she's like 5'6", and she's up there blocking 6'1", girls at the net. She had a good way of getting her teammates involved. She's a 2-time All-American, so she could do it all. She's one of the best setters to ever come through here.
I like Dana a lot, Her stats are obviously, they speak for themselves. I had the privilege of covering volleyball sophomore year. She was a great person to interview. And I think she's right where she needs to be. She was a great setter.
Out of the 450 athletes, we picked the top 10. Stay tuned for 5 through 1.